Iyia Liu, 21 years old, your first business selling shapewear, and then moved into supplements, the gift boxes, the hairstyling products. 4 7-figure businesses.
I've always had this drive to want to be successful financially. I feel so isolated and so lonely at the start of my journey.
A lot of your 20s would have been heavily work-centered.
I definitely did not miss out. I would work all day and then I would go out on a Saturday night.
Why are you so fueled? Why have you been so invigorated to make money, to get things done, to be successful? Where does that come from?
I love money.
What is the biggest thing that stops people from starting?
The most common thing is...
Kia ora everyone, Zach and Jake here from The Martin Show. Just a friendly reminder to please subscribe to our channel. It helps the channel more than you know, and it gives us more opportunity to be able to bring great guests. We appreciate all the love we have received in 2024. 2025 is going to be a massive year. Enjoy all the episodes coming up, whānau. Macha aroha. To the moon.
Iyia Liu, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
No, of course. You have an incredible success story. And actually, when I was doing a little bit of research, I was a little bit... What stood out for me was how vocal you are about your story. Like, if anyone wants to see where you started, where you are now, and how you've got to where you are now, it's not hard to find. It's literally on your socials, and I love that. Have you always been vocal about your story? Like, have you always been expressive, or was there like a certain moment in your career where you were like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna share my story now? We were talking about story off camera. Was there like a certain moment, or have you always been quite expressive with it?
I feel like, I started when I was 21 and I started really, really simply. I was literally like, I want to do a bit of a side hustle. I just want to set up a website. It seems easy to me. If I just put up some product on my website, people buy it. And I feel like I accidentally stumbled into success. Like, I did not expect to make $3.5 million my first year. My goal was to make $300. I was like, I just want to make $300. It'll be really helpful for my bills. And it sort of just escalated. So for the first few years, because I was 21, I didn't have anybody that I could talk to about it. I didn't really know anyone else in business. So I feel like I was quite quiet during the first, let's say, 4 to 5 years. And then, I don't know, I did start sharing a little bit more on social. I started to meet other entrepreneurs. I actually started something called Girls in Business, which we run events. We've done 11 now. We've got a huge one this year for 850 people. They started off small, but I sort of wanted to start that because I was like, I feel so isolated and so lonely at the start of my journey, sort of thing. And I just want to be able to talk to other people, meet other people in the industry.
Yeah.
So I have now, but I definitely was quiet for like the first 5 years.
Yeah, wow. What do you think? Well, you started and you did it. What do you think is like the number one prohibitor, or like what is the biggest thing that stops people from starting, do you think?
I get this all the time. I do a lot of one-on-ones with people. So people book one-on-ones with me. And the most common thing is, number one is they have so many ideas. They're like, I've got this idea, and then I want to do pet accessories, and then I want to do like pillows. I don't know. They've got so many ideas, and then they freak themselves out and they're like, I don't know which one to go. They overthink it all, and then they're like, no, I can't do any of them because I've overthought it all. Yeah. So that's probably the number one scenario I see.
Wow. So too many options, right? Like too many options which causes anxiety in the brain. And so they got too many things to think about.
Too many options, overthinking, like what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? I'm going to need $100,000. Like, no, really don't.
God.
Just basically what I will just say to them is just take the first step, which is just set up a website.
Yeah.
Shopify, just like free.
Wow.
Set up an Instagram account, find a product, 3 steps. Just like simplify it.
So good. We'll get to there, but I do want to go 21 years old, your first business, you were selling shapewear and then moved into supplements, the gift boxes, the celebration boxes, and then the hairstyling products. You were selling products. I'm learning more and more about sales now, and I think everyone should, but not in the way of like, I sell this, you buy from me, but also like selling is actually in everything that we do. I feel like talking about your story, like you were selling your story. Like we are selling ourselves in every interaction almost. So when it helps you get what you're not, and not in a malicious way, but I want to know what sales means to you.
I feel like in terms of starting a product or service business, you are finding a product or a service, portraying the value of it, like adding, why should somebody buy this? Whether it's so many reviews and everyone's saying it's good, or the packaging's cool and it's got these benefits. Like, what value does it have? And then you can sell it for that higher price.
Yeah.
But that's with everything. That's with product, services. Like you have the thing, you add value to it, whether that be branding, marketing, and then you sell it for that higher price.
Oh my God. So the way to get better at sales is by continue to add value to the product or service.
Well, some people can have a really cool product and they're like, this product's incredible, but it means nothing if you can't portray the value to the customer. So like, how are you going to market it there?
Yeah.
I actually did like a meeting with someone yesterday and they were like, had all these product ideas. And I was like, actually, before you even tell me about your product ideas, tell me how you're going to market these. That's more important than the product itself.
Oh my God. I love that. Speaking of your 4 products, your 4 businesses, when speaking to entrepreneurs, I feel like there's a repeating theme around the idea of knowledge, and like that knowledge is more important than money. And more so around if those businesses were taken away, you'd be able to just build them back up because of the knowledge that you've acquired. And so with that in mind, I wanted to ask you, did it become easier to achieve success in your business from business 4 compared to number 1 because of the, you learned things in the game, you learned the processes, systems, what worked, what didn't. Did it become easier?
It totally becomes easier. If you were like, you need to start a business tomorrow selling, cat food, I could do it.
Wow.
I could do it.
Yeah.
So it's all the same structure. I guess like there's different types of ways to run a business, but the essentials are all the same. The marketing is sort of the same. You do social media marketing, paid advertising, sort of all the same.
Yeah.
This is why I've had different businesses in different niches, industries, shapewear, gift boxes, hair care, supplements. It's all the same strategy. It's all the same, really.
Wow. 4 7-figure businesses too. Like, you know what I mean? Holy heck, crazy. What do you know now though that you wish you knew when you were that 21-year-old about to embark on her first business?
So before my shapewear business, I did actually have one that did not do well.
Okay.
This is when I was just starting out. I was like, this is going to be the next big thing. I tried to import clothing. So I imported all this clothing from Australia and had like a clothing retail site. I just couldn't sell any product.
Wow.
But what I was doing was I was only posting on my own Instagram account, so not collaborating with anybody else. Now fast forward, I work with influencers. I do we're on a podcast together right now. I'm collaborating. We're collaborating. Other things that I did wrong was sort of like spent so much time on creating content when actually, you send the product out and all the influencers can make it for you. I didn't use the Shopify website, which now I'd be like, if you're doing e-com, use Shopify. I feel like those are probably the main things I wasn't doing at the start.
Yeah.
So, through trial and error, I figured it out. Whatever's started working, double down on it and just scale on it. Like
you said, the way you got to start and you just learn along the way. That's what Jake and I are doing as well, especially around the networking and collabs. Massive. Speaking of being 21, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of your 20s would have been heavily work-centered, work-focused, work-orientated. With that, do you feel like you missed out on a lot?
It's funny because that is sometimes I see okay, I've reels I've chosen not to go out because I'm going to stay in and work on my business. No, I went out 3 times a week religiously. I went to town on a Monday, Tuesday. I was like, no one's here, but I'm in town. I definitely did not miss out.
Yeah. Okay.
And I feel like the best thing about having an online business was I did actually used to go to Europe and maybe once a year, just once a year. And you can do the work there, and it's can still run without you being physically there.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah, because there's so much out there at the moment about your 20s, your hustling years. But there is a quote that I have heard, and I want to see what your thoughts on this, and is like, you either work it up and become an highly valuable and highly skilled 30-year-old, or you live it up and become an underskilled and undervaluable 30-year-old. And obviously the goal is to have both. You know, you want to have both, but what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with that?
I don't think you have to sacrifice one for the other. You know, like we have so many hours. We do have so many hours in the day. I'd say before kids. So once I had kids, my time, I really was like, okay, I'm struggling for time. But pre that, you know, I would work all day and then I would go out on a Saturday night or Friday, Saturday, maybe a Thursday too. You know, I'd pack my schedule from morning to night with work and fun. So,
Yeah, wow.
yeah, I don't think you have to give one up.
Wow, see, I love that answer. I wasn't expecting that. I want to go to something a little bit different now, and it's around gender. And because you're the fourth Wahine on the show, the fourth female, majority of our audience is men, younger males, and I'm assuming the majority of your audience is females.
Mm-hmm.
I read a book a few years ago called The Way of a Superior Man, and I would recommend anyone, not just males, to read it. It's a great book. And it talks about what drives genders, with men being mission-driven and females being love-driven. But I feel like we're in a different time now, in a generation where females are given more of an opportunity to be able to lead and live their life in a mission-driven way. And so what I mean by that is like, you know, the rise of female bosses, female influencers, leaders, you know, it's continuing to rise. Beautiful. But with that in mind, and I want to ask you, because I feel like, well, you are a female boss. You have your own bloody show called Boss Babe, you know what I mean? But do you feel like you've lived your life more towards the way of the masculine in regards to being mission-driven, or more in regards to the feminine being love-driven?
I mean, I love money. I love a flexible freedom, like a lifestyle that is flexible. And I love the life that I've created for myself, which I guess is mission driven.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm just doing whatever I want. So regardless of gender, I feel like you're right. Like women are now given a lot more opportunity, and you know, everyone can sort of do what they want, whatever they dream of. So
yeah, I asked this question to most of our guests, and they're usually men. And I want to ask you, because it'll be interesting to hear from a female perspective. What do you think are work-ons for us as men? What are things that we lack in that you'd love to see us improve in as a collective?
I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with men.
Yeah.
That I don't feel that like there is.
Beautiful.
But maybe I feel like I also kind of like just focus on myself. I'm not like nitpicking at people. Just like focus on your building up yourself.
Yeah.
And then who cares what other people are like?
Yeah, beautiful. Same thing for women as well?
I guess.
No specific work-ons?
I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I feel like if you just focus on yourself, then who cares what other people are doing?
I love that. 4 7-figure businesses. I want to get more into like the nitty-gritty side of it. I know you're running on a time, so let's go hard and fast. But how do we do it? How should we go about it? Where should we start? You're in a position now where I feel like or in a chapter of your life where you're wanting to give back. You wanting to share your knowledge through mentorship courses and make it happen as well. Tune in whānau. But how do we do it? How should we go about it when wanting to start an online business?
I feel like we did cover a little bit before, but it's just not overthinking things. The fastest way and the easiest way that you can start something and get something up and running is just picking a product or a service that maybe solves a problem for you, or maybe you just like the product, or maybe you don't even like the product, but you need it. So just picking something, don't overthink it. Set up a Shopify website, which is usually for e-commerce. There's a free trial to set it up. Buy a template if you don't want to set it up yourself. It's pretty straightforward. Buy a template, set it up. It's $29 a month to run, and set up your free social media accounts. Start creating content of your product or your service. Those are the 3 easy steps. Like, yes, there's other things, and but that's good enough to get you live.
Yeah.
I remember with my shapewear business, I just was like, okay, number one, I'm going to import some shapewear. I think I had like 10 or 20 pieces, set up my Shopify website. I had really average photos, but it's fine. Website went live. On Instagram, I started sending out a few products to people like micro influencers or content creators, and then escalated. So I was sending out maybe like 10 units. They do photos, and then maybe paying like people with more audience, like $100, $200, without, escalating. But that's just how it grows. But if I was like, this is the simplest way to do it, that is the simplest, that's it.
Yeah.
3 steps.
Wow. Okay, well, with product, because this is where I get a little bit queued up on with product. Should we be like wanting to build and create our own product, or should we be looking at a product on like AliExpress or Amazon or something and then creating the website from there? What way should we be going? Should we be wanting to have our own product and building that, or finding something for a relatively cheap price, creating the Shopify website from there and essentially drop shipping it? Well, there's obviously ways to do it, but I feel like a lot of people get confused in that regard.
I mean, ultimately it's up to you. I'm going to say, if you want to get to the market fast, if you're saying, I want to get this business up in 4 to 8 weeks, I will say, go and find an existing product. Either put your own logo on it, put your own label on it, do your own custom box, do a nice website, do nice branding, and then go live. You're up in 4 to 8 weeks. If you want to do a custom product, which you totally can, like in the past I've done protein powder, which I formulated it with a factory, but it was our own formulation. What else have I done custom? My hair tools were custom. So when it's custom, the product development time, a little bit longer, let's say 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
3 is sort of like probably the fastest. But then still, like, you're still up in like 3 to 6 months. So it depends how fast you want to go to market.
Get it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
With a custom product too, like there is a minimum order quantity. So if you also have a really low budget, then just find a pre-existing product. Like my shapewear, I think I started with around 5K. And then my gift box, celebration box, I started that with $3,000.
Wow.
So there are cheap ways to do it.
And you're massive. You're quite heavy in regards to the paid advertising. I did want to ask you though, in regards to paid advertising, should we be paying for advertising for all our content? And what I mean by that is like, for Iyya's account, the difference between like building an organic audience and the paid advertising and a non-organic audience, I'm trying to navigate those both spaces, because I hear them both. I hear some people like, nah, man, boost those posts and pay for them for the podcast, for your whatever. And then I hear the contrary, where they're like, no, why would you do that? Just build it organically. What are your thoughts on that?
When it comes to organic, like somebody has to create the content, right? So there's research involved, studying other content, creating the script or creating the format of the video or photo, and then putting it out there. That's very labor intensive. So if you're going, okay, my team doesn't actually have capacity to do, like, yes, maybe they can put out a reel a day, but that's sort of it. They're busy with other things, or they all have jobs. I don't know, like there might be time constraints.
Yeah.
Then you might go, okay, well then I'm going to run paid ads because that's through a machine. So I feel like if you want to scale really big, the only way you can do it is with paid advertising. But like organic is so powerful anyway. So have the ability to go viral if you are creating the right type of content.
Yeah.
So that's like value-based content, giving people tips and tricks, educational content, funny content. Like what are you giving people? Yeah, I think a big mistake people make is when they create content for themselves, they're like, oh, what do I want to make today?
Yeah.
No. What do your audience want to see today?
Wow. Beautiful. Find a product or service, create the website, market, promote the thing, pay for the advertising if you wish. And then the last one that I found was the automation and refinement. So do less mahi for you, find those systems. Is that like the rise of AI and shit like that? Or is there many other tools you can use as well for that sort of stuff as well, for the automation side of things?
Yeah, I guess it's just like setting up your systems and processes. I'm like a super lazy person, which is why why I wanted to start a business in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's like, put a website, people buy it, you don't have to do anything. lazy person. So, the less work you can do, the better. So in terms of automation, I set up like for email marketing, you would set up things like email flows. So if somebody joins an email list, they just get a stack of emails, review email flows. So anyone that buys a product would just get email flows to leave a review. What else can you automate? Scheduling. So with your content, I would batch create. So I sort of work with my team. We bang out content, but then we schedule it for a week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks in advance. I remember like when I went on my hens do, my bachelorette, and one of my girlfriends was like, "Why are you posting on the trip?" I was like, "I'm not. Do you think I'm here posting? I'm not at the beach club posting. This is all scheduled."
Wow, see? These are the gems, man. Wow, I appreciate that. I actually want to go more towards you. We mentioned the individuals that the biggest thing that they struggle with at the beginning is they have too many options, too many things on their mind. I want to go to you, and I want to know where your drive comes from. Like, well, why are you so fueled? Why have you been so invigorated to make money, to get things done, to be successful? Where does that come from, do you think?
I feel like as a teenager, I just always manifested or like dreamed of living sort of in a rural area not a farm, but just like have a bit of land, build a nice home for my family, like a few kids. And I don't know, it just sort of like was always in my mind to do that. So as a result, I was like, okay, I've always had this drive to want to be successful financially. And I remember when I came out of uni looking for jobs, and I was like, oh, everything's sort of like 50K, 60K for a uni graduate. I get it. But I was like, oh, I want more. So what can I do? I just set up that website thinking like, okay, this would be a good side, like a supplement to what I'm doing. And I did not expect it to turn into like a full blown thing. And then I think once you start doing it, you get addicted to, the sales coming in and the flexibility. Like I feel like I can go do whatever appointments, like do whatever I want during the day.
Yeah.
And you're still generating the sales. You just get the product out. It's all quite automated over time.
And now, looking back, you talked about dream life. You feel like you've built the dream life for yourself? Going forward, you said you get addicted. The goalposts always shift. What does the dream life look like for future Iyia?
I don't know. So I'm 31 now. So I've been doing ecom for about 9 or 10 years. And I have achieved everything that I've ever wanted to achieve. There's actually nothing else that I'm like, I want more. But I'm loving what I'm doing with Make It Happen. I'm loving sharing the knowledge that I know or have accumulated with other people that are aspiring to also have an online business or have a side hustle. That's just fun for me. I love doing speaking events, meeting lots of people. I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like now I just want to keep doing that, meeting people and going on holidays. I do want to like build up my Sharesies account.
Ooh, okay. I love that.
I saw somebody like post a screenshot of this guy. He put in 2 mil. He's like a CEO of something. He put in 2 mil and it turned into like 6 million in like a few years.
Oh my God.
So I was like, I saved that screenshot. I was like, I need to start putting all my money into Sharesies.
Yeah.
And stop spending it on shoes and bags and things. Just put it in Sharesies.
Oh, wow. Outside of mahi, outside of everything, what else do you enjoy? What else makes you feel alive?
This is a really good question. I feel like little story. When I was probably like 23, I was doing really well with work and making a ton of sales, but I was really neglecting all of my like relationships with friends, family, because I was like always like my mindset at the time was too busy with work, or work is my priority. It ended up getting to a point where one day somebody was like, "Oh, you're so successful," and I went home and I was like, "I don't feel successful. I actually feel a little bit lonely." Yeah. And so ever sort of since that moment, I was like, no, your number one priority actually is like relationships. Never ever neglect, your friends or your family or kids, anything for the sake of trying to be more successful or make more money. So I've just like feel like my main goal now is just to make sure that I'm spending a lot of time with all the people around me that I enjoy spending time with.
Beautiful. It's like prioritizing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think you struggle with now?
Right now, I think just with the 2 little kids, time management. I do have goals and dreams of like, growing this business just because like I just enjoy it and doing like speaking events, doing all the things. And I am finding it hard with, also managing 2 little kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids is another theme that I've heard over this year of this show, particularly with a lot of males. And I want to actually ask from a mother's perspective, how did having your kids change, I guess, the drive, change your perspective on your mahi and things like that? Did it make you hungrier? Did it zap anything from you? Did it change anything overall? Because there's a repeating thing that I've seen in the last year from men that once they have their kids, ads or tags, but it's obviously beautiful. How did it change you?
I mean, it's very draining, you just feel exhausted a lot of the time. But it also gives you a lot of purpose. I remember I had my first girl when I was 26, and I sort of just did before, like I felt there was a point in my life where I was like, what's the point of doing all this? You're making all this money, but why? So I feel like having the kids, it does give you a purpose. As hard as it is very fulfilling.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, oh, I'm doing all this for my family.
Future Iyia. What would she want the Iyia today to do?
Future me. Maybe she would say, stop buying shoes and bags and put all your money into shares.
I love it. A couple more questions from me. This is one, you're talking about collaborations, you're talking about networking. Who do you know that I should know?
I mean, I feel like we should know anybody that maybe has a database or an audience or information that you can, or interests, similar interests, that sort of benefits you in some way. That's not to say you can't hang out with other people, but
Absolutely.
I feel like, like expanding your knowledge and just continuous learning is really important.
Absolutely.
Through my events, my Girls in Business events, I've met a lot of like female entrepreneurs, all different industries like tech or property, different industries. And for me, that's so valuable. Like I don't run these events to make money. It's actually to meet people.
Yeah.
Just really, so powerful to meet other people, like-minded people.
For sure. Yeah, it's a big work on for us as well this year. My final question, younger Iyia. Can be that teenage Iyia, can be the 21 Iyia about to embark on a business journey. What's the one thing you'd want to say to her?
One thing to say to my younger self was, you did a good job. I'm proud of myself. And sometimes people were like, oh, how have you fit so much in? I'm like, it's been packed, but so fulfilling. I've done everything I've ever wanted to do.
31, still got so much to do, man. It's exciting, beautiful. We have a closing tradition on this podcast where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who he or she is. So the question for you today is, what is your number one daily habit and why is this important to you?
I don't know if I have a daily habit. I feel like every day is like, I just follow my schedule.
Yeah.
I'm like, today you need to be here at this time. I don't really have a daily. Oh, I like, I'm trying to prioritize like going to the gym, walking, movement. I feel like otherwise if you have a desk job or a phone job, you just get so sore and tired.
Oh my God.
You need to move your body, and I'm loving saunering.
Yeah, wow.
I don't do it every day, but.
Looking after the health, eh? Looking after the health. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Iyia Liu, ladies and gentlemen. Where can the people find you, Iyia?
They can find me on Instagram. The handle is Make It Happen, and a podcast, Make It Happen podcast.
Let's go. That concludes another episode of the Martin Show team. Give Iyia a follow. We'll drop all our socials as well, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll be back next week for another episode. Kia ora, guys. Thank you.